Well, Andre Dickens is gearing up for his 2025 mayoral race, and statewide races in 2026, they're starting to feel closer and closer now as well. Georgia Attorney General Carr has formally announced he is running for governor in 2026. He's hoping to follow fellow Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who is term limited and cannot run again. We sit down with the Republican lawmaker in this week's Sunday Conversation, and we start, of course, with the biggest question. Why do you want to be Georgia's next governor?
Well, because we're the model for the nation. And I've been fortunate enough to work in this state. I worked for Johnny Isakson. I worked economic development under Nathan Deal, and I've now worked with Brian Kemp. And we're the model because of jobs and safety. You are either in the state of Georgia because you came here for a job, you stayed here for a job, you came here for college, but that's what how this state has been built over the last several decades, jobs and then safety. And in this state, we focused on both of those issues. And in addition, look, I've worked for some great folks. And over the last 2 or 3 decades, we've done it because of good, traditional Georgia conservatives. We've got to keep this state red. We've got to continue to do the things that we've done to be successful over those last 2 or 3 decades. And I've worked arm in arm, side by side with Governor Kemp and others to make sure that we do it. We've got to keep doing what we're doing.
There's been a lot of legislative effort surrounding school safety, particularly in the wake of the awful Appalachia High School shooting in 2024. How do you propose Georgia keeps its school students safe?
Well, I think what is happening now in the legislature, the debate and the discussion and the resources the governor's put forth and the legislature have is incredible. So I would support that as well. I think when you're looking at keeping kids safe, school resource officers are critically important. Hardening the asset itself, the school itself, making sure that you've got safe doors and windows and protecting the building itself. But also, you want to have that, and I know the legislature has discussed this a little bit, you want to be able to have folks on the inside that are teachers and counselors and principals and parents and others, that when threats are made by students, that there's a conversation about what needs to be done.
Democrats in the state legislature have advanced some positions that they say would in some ways restrict access to firearms in certain cases, and they see that as a component of keeping schools safe. Do you support any efforts like that?
No, I'll tell you, I don't, because here's why. Every day we focus, whether it's gangs, whatever it may be, on those that either illegally possess or illegally use or improperly use a firearm. My problem is every time somebody uses a weapon from a criminal perspective, somebody wants to take away my ability to own a firearm. And I support the right of a law-abiding citizen in this state to defend him or herself, his or her property, his or her family. I just believe it's constitutional and it's fundamental.
President Trump won our state and effectively swept the board in battleground states when it comes to the Electoral College in 2024. But as a breakdown of the actual vote, President Trump won Georgia by just about 2%. If you win the election here, if you become Georgia's governor, how do you lead a state that is still very closely politically divided?
Yeah, well, again, because I think you focus on the basics. You focus on trying to provide the people of Georgia with an opportunity to have a job, and you keep them safe. Those are the issues that people care about. We saw it in the state of Georgia. You can be a Republican, or you can be a persuadable voter. You may want Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., and you want a Brian Kemp or a Carr in the state of Georgia. And we've shown that. I've been through 3 statewide races. I was on the ballot with Governor Kemp, and in 2022, in the primary 22, he and I both got 74% of the vote in a very difficult cycle. But what that tells me is the people of our state said, we like your brand of Georgia conservatism. We like your brand of leadership.
Do you see that as a different brand of conservatism than perhaps what President Trump lives out?
I see it as what our state has been and what has become. I've given you the names of some folks. If you go back a couple of decades, you can see, again, the Johnny Isaksons, the Nathan Deals, and the Brian Kemps. But you can go back even to a Zell Miller, where this is what we have focused on. I mean, the Olympics were a turning point for our state. For our state, we showed the world that we were a great place to do business, we were a great place to raise a family, and we care about keeping people safe, and we care about the basics of government. That's what you want in this state. But so absolutely, Brian Kemp has been masterful in how he has governed this state. There is no doubt he is a conservative. He is a Georgia conservative. He told people in 2018 and 2022 who he was going to be, and he has been it, and he's been a fantastic governor. That's the model. Brian Kemp is the model for this state, and I am so proud to have worked shoulder to shoulder with him to help bring jobs to this state and keep folks safe.
If you're elected governor of Georgia, your vision for our state over the course of that potential term in office, what does it look like?
Well, it's going to be continuing to be a state where businesses want to start, they want to locate, they want to stay here, families want to be here, and they're going to know no matter where they live in this state, no matter who they are, they're safe.
That is just part of our interview. You can see our full conversation, including a discussion of the Attorney General's gang prosecution efforts, right now on the 11 Alive Plus app.